Hello and welcome. Today we're immersing ourselves into the pulse of the 43rd Annual Council meeting of the Ports Management Association of West and Central Africa, PMAWCA. The stage was set in the dynamic city of Lagos, where President Bola Ahmed Tinubu, who was represented by the Honorable Minister of Marine and Blue Economy, His Excellency Adegboyega Oyetola, gracefully performed the ribbon-cutting ceremony, officially declaring the conference open. Join us as we shine the shipper's spotlight on this event on today's program. And don't miss out on our tidbit segment with Oluwasegun Aloko. It's where we bring you up to speed with the latest buzz in the local and international maritime scenes. But first, a quick break.
Nigerian Shippers Council Day to serve you well. No matter the problem, we go solve them for you.
Yes, so the Nigerian Shippers Council they feel in a parole now for every level. And as soon as goods they move from port A, go enter port B with a measure within on a needle. For the Nigerian Shippers Council, we don't sharp proper to fit hear you wella, work with you wella, and help you fit serve your customers them better, no matter where them day. As we country port economic regulator, the Nigerian Shippers Council get every now to fit make government consider the problem where shippers them they face. Visit we office for number 4 or to buy your daily show your daily. Papa email us for nsc@shipperscouncil.gov.ng. We website now www.shipperscouncil.gov.ng.
For you, we dey gidigba.
Nigerian Shippers Council with the meeting now for the port of Nani.
Welcome back to The Shipper, brought to you by Nigerian Shippers Council, the driving force, also known as the nation's ports economic regulator. My name is Rekia Dikru Yagoyaju. Spanning an expansive coastline of around 12,000 kilometers, West and Central African ports manage a whopping 300 million tons of maritime import and export trade for the sub-regions. The 300 million tons does not include crude oil. While many member nations contribute to this trade, our focus remains on the recent gathering in Lagos, where representatives from 24 nations convened for this remarkable event.
This program is how does Africa own their trade, facilitate their own trade within their own continent. It is very important. But we know that most of African trade is not within Africa, it's outside Africa. But how do we collaborate and bring the trade, begin to trade with each other? Nigeria has done a lot of things in this regard, especially with the establishment of various inland dry ports. Even though the seaports already are facilitating trade, but in Nigeria it has taken it to another chapter by the establishment of inland dry ports.
A free trade zones. You know, Africans want to trade more among themselves. Africa want to integrate their various economies. And there is that agreement that for the integration of African trade, seaport has a vital role to play. So these are some of the issues that are being discussed here today, looking at the role of port authorities and also how it will contribute to the integration of the African economy under AFTA.
Good and very impactful program, because this is an opportunity for us to synergize and know the situation of what is happening in all the ports in Africa, which I believe this is the 43 annual 43 meeting council that the PMAWCA was having. And I feel it's high time that we should step up our game in the port industry, maritime industry.
This is a very critical time for Nigeria and for Africa as a whole, the African continent as a whole, because of the economy of the world that is crashing. So having this will be good for trade facilitation, it will be good for port development and facilitation in the whole of Africa. So I think this is a step in the right direction.
For an insider's perspective, let's now connect with Lucy Nyambi, who presents the story brought back by the shippers correspondent Adeshino Abiodun.
Themed, the role of ports in the African Continental Free Trade Area. The 43rd Council meeting of Port Management Association of West and Central Africa, PMAWCA, was hosted by Nigeria in Lagos. The statutory meeting is deemed very important for the development of the port sector in the West and Central African region. PMAWCA is a sub-regional intergovernmental economic organization established in October 1972 under the auspices of the United Economic Commission for Africa, UNECA, covering the seaports located along the west coast of Africa, including Mauritania and Angola. Its ports handle about 300 million tons of maritime import and export trade for the sub-region, excluding crude oil. Many of the countries in the region, including Nigeria, are producing and exporting crude oil in commercial quantities, while others have discovered oil in commercial quantities. The theme of the 43rd Council meeting was well defined as ports in the region are preparing to commence production in the near future. Because the African Continental Free Trade Area represents a significant effort by African nations to harness the economic potential of the continent by fostering greater trade and economic integration, it is deemed important to discuss how participating countries can overcome various challenges and work together to realize collective benefits while promoting economic diversification. President of the Federal Republic of Nigeria, His Excellency Bola Ahmed Tinubu, stated that the region must embrace full automation to be competitive in the global maritime sector. The President, who was represented by the Honorable Minister of Marine and Blue Economy, His Excellency Adeboyega Oyetola, said that African countries were duty-bound to unite and deploy their resources to tackle issues affecting socio-economic progress and development.
I want to commend the Federal Ministry of Marine and Blue Economy and its frontline agency, the Nigerian Ports Authority, for accepting to host this very auspicious regional meeting, especially at this time when regional integration is most crucial to attainment of collective economic prosperity as a sub-region. Now, one of the resources that we can proudly speak about as a bloc is our maritime endowment. The reality that most of us are either littoral or highland states makes the formulation of policies for the optimum utilization of waters for the growth of our economies expedient. My administration is especially interested in the maritime industry. This was why we created the Ministry of Marine and Blue Economy in the first instance. I'm convinced that the quick wins we urgently need to create opportunities that will turn our youth budget into dividends lies in our maritime and blue economy sectors. Even though we have physical national boundaries that separate us, the waters are a natural source of connectivity, and they seem like a subtle providential message that we must work together for the good of all our countries.
The council meeting had various breakout sessions with Mr. Olusegun Awolowo, Executive Secretary, National Action Committee on AFTA, Comptroller General of Customs Adewale Adeniyi, Mrs. Demeter Gyang, Senior Advisor, Customs Administration, AFTA, Mr. Lino Fiore, Managing Director of a maritime logistics company, speaking on what AFTA has to offer to African ports after 3 years of implementation.
The customs have realized that revenue is going to fall short when we start full implementation of AFTA, because African countries are not going to be paying duty again. So that's why the trade facilitation process is very important for the customs service. The African Afri-Exim Bank is introducing the Pan-African Payment and Settlement System that will allow us to pay for goods in our currency, wherever country we export to. You see how blessed Africa is. And the fastest way and the cheapest way of shipping and moving our goods is still by sea. And when you trace it, you see how blessed Africa is. You can just have a shipping line that is going on top from Morocco and going all the way down. It gets to South Africa. It comes back up again it passes Seychelles and all those, Somalia, and it goes up to Tunisia, it's back to Morocco. So that shipping line can be dropping goods, picking up goods, dropping it. And that's why we need this port efficiency.
Geospatial intelligence in our enforcement unit. And with all our stakeholders in the trade facilitation chain, we hope to conduct a time-release study to actually determine how long it takes to clear goods from our port. We are currently finalizing a working agreement with our Customs Administration of Benin Republic to address existing gaps in bilateral trade and to remove all those things that sustain the activities of smugglers.
Number one is that the AFCFTA will create volumes, and these volumes will have to be carried by the transport and the logistics sector. So it will create volumes. And because it will create volumes, it will attract investments into port infrastructure to support the volumes that have been created. Beyond the investment, it would also actually help boost economies, because if you have created volumes, if you have invested in port infrastructure, and these goods are moving in real time, effectively and efficiently, what it means is that your economies would grow.
Your focus for this year, which is ports and the African Continental Free Trade Area, it's really of interest to my organization. Because over the years, our group has been a keen collaborator with governments, particularly in West Africa, in promoting this concept of free trade zones. Based on our experience, there is no doubt that the concept has impacted positively in port operation and development due to the incentives granted in the free trade zones and the ease of doing business promoted by the applicable regulation.
In another session hosted by Mr. Mohamed Bello Koko, Managing Director, Nigerian Ports Authority, Barrister Fumi Folorunsho, co-champion for transportation on AFTA, Dr. Taiwo Afolabi, chairman of one of the major terminals in Nigeria, and Mrs. Nneka Onyali-Ikpe, a banker. The topic, opportunities for economic and logistical development with AFTA, was deliberated upon.
All of us at the Nigerian Ports Authority are greatly delighted to host this regional meeting of like minds, which is aimed at maximizing the potentials of our rich maritime endowments. The theme of this occasion, which is the role of ports in African continental free trade, speaks to the frontline responsibility of ports in trade facilitation value chain. The need to translate our marine competitive advantages into opportunities for collective prosperity of our respective countries has never been more pressing than it is now. The demonstrated global leadership of ports in the contributions to the Sustainable Development Goals shows that the sustainability of the world, especially Africa, rests heavily on the sustainability of our ports.
Additional assets need to be acquired. I wish I could talk about ports, but I do not have the capacity. Bulk vessel increase will be 188% of bulk vessel. Container vessels, 180%. Unfortunately, in my country, I was told a few weeks ago that we have only one cargo vessel that could participate in AFCFTA. I do not know what your country has. I am not talking of tankers. I am talking of vessels to carry African cargo to be generated by AFCFTA. A total number of 160 or 162 vessels will be required in the next 10 years. Ask yourself, write it down. How many of these vessels will patronize my port? Or how many of these vessels will be flagged my country flag?
In his contribution, the Secretary General, Abuja Memorandum of Understanding in Port State Control for West and Central Africa, Captain Sunday Umoran, encouraged port authorities to work hand in hand with state control officers. He was represented by Mr. Richard Owolabi.
The mandate of the MOUs covers risk mitigation and consequently reducing the exposure as policy control officers identify and eradicate substandard shapes that will hamper trade and development and further erode the benefits for blue economy in the region. Maritime administrations in our region are expected to ensure that flag vessels, vessels that are registered within the region, work in synergy with post authorities in the country.
Senator George Akume, Secretary to the Government of the Federation, noted that after House's brilliant promises to deepen investment, boost trade, provide jobs, and reduce poverty in Africa, he was represented by Professor Babatunde Bolaji Bernard, his senior technical assistant.
ACFA was created to cover trade in goods and services, investment, intellectual property right, and competition within the African sub-region, with its main objectives to create a single continental market for goods and services with free movement of business persons and investment within the African sub-region. ACFA houses brilliant promises to broaden and deepen investment and deeper economic integration within the African sub-region with the capacity to attract investment, boost trade, provide better jobs, reduce poverty, and increase shared prosperity in Africa. The objectives of ACFA is therefore very obvious since they are strategic entry point and exit points for goods and services. The FGL would like to laud at this point that the objectives of ACFA resonate with the priority areas of the renewed hope agenda of the present administration, and therefore encourages you all to crossbreed ideas that will fulfill the objectives of ACFA for the benefit of Nigerians.
The newly appointed Executive Secretary and Chief Executive Officer of Nigerian Shippers Council, Barrister Pius Akuta Ukeima, observed the meeting in fulfillment of his pledge to hit the ground running. In an exclusive interview with the shipper, he said the 2023 PMAWCA Council meeting provided many insights.
Association that put up together this meeting, I want to encourage them to continue in the pathway of what has been discussed here so far. This is good for the maritime sector and for the blue economy. I understand that Shippers Council is an observer to this Association of West and Central African Maritime Workers. Now, I believe that the Shippers Council has its own role also to play. And most of what has been talked about here in terms of the blue economy is what our focus is also. So I believe that everything that has been done so far here is relevant to Shippers Council mandate.
We'll be keeping a watchful eye on PMAWCA's trajectory and the pronouncements that have emerged from this meeting. One of the significant ones being the news from Nigerian Ports Authority Managing Director Mohammed Bello Koko, who announced that a comprehensive rehabilitation plan for all the ports in Nigeria is set to launch in the first quarter of 2024. Brace yourselves in Q1 2024 for a substantial overhaul valued at a whopping $1.1 billion, starting with the Tinkan Island and Apapa ports in Lagos. You can count on the shipper to keep you in the loop, as always. It's now time to dive into the tidbit segment with Oluwasegun Aluko, who is standing by to unpack for us the latest in the local and international maritime sectors.
By now, you already know that Nigerian Shippers Council has a new Executive Secretary and Chief Executive Officer, Barrister Pius Ukeima Akuta. Barrister Akuta's 10-year stint at the Attorney General's office is replete with accolades for handling high-profile cases. He is a chartered mobile and forensic examiner, among other many competencies. Upon his arrival in the office, Barrister Akuta unveiled an ambitious vision for a collaborative work environment, assuring everyone of a brighter future. Management and staff of the council welcomed him with enthusiasm, expressing their readiness to collaborate under his leadership. Barrister Akuta's arrival as the new EMSMAN opens a new chapter in the life of Shippers Council. We urge stakeholders in the maritime industry to visit our website, www.shipperscouncil.gov.ng, to access detailed information about our services and to lodge any complaints they might have. That said, let's check our complaint register for the week 5th November to 11th November 2023. We received a total of 8 complaints. 1 has been resolved, while 7 are ongoing investigations. The types of complaints include demurrage increase, unreleased consignment, overdue payment, missing cargoes, breach of contract, and cargo blockage. As per POP Investment Limited, has written to the Shippers Council expressing gratitude for the timely and impartial handling of their complaints, while acknowledging the Council's innovative dispute resolution methods. This letter is a testament to Nigerian Shippers Council's commitment to ensuring fair and effective conflict resolution in the maritime industry. Now, let's delve into the international maritime domain for more stories. The annual World Port Conference, organized by the International Association of Ports and Harbors, IAPH, has ended. The 2023 edition was hosted by Abu Dhabi Ports at the sprawling Abu Dhabi National Exhibition Center, capital city of the United Arab Emirates. Dozens of papers were presented on various subjects. It presented an opportunity for cross-fertilization of ideas and networking among corporate entities and individuals at the exhibition stands and at the breakout sessions. Highlights of the conference include Sustainability Awards presented at a gala dinner and the election of Jens Meyer as the new president of IAPH. Meyer, the CEO of Hamburg Port Authority, will serve from 2023 to 2025. The 3-day conference was attended by decision makers in ports and the maritime sector around the globe. They came from as far as the South Sea Islands. Nigeria was represented by a power delegation from Nigerian Shippers Council and Nigerian Ports Authority. The Indian Navy's Eastern Naval Command recently held a video conference with officials from 15 nations to prepare for Million 24, a biannual naval exercise initiated by the Indian Navy in 1995. Million 24 will take place in Visakhapatnam from February 19, 2024, and will include various activities such as the Swavlambam exhibition, city parade, international maritime seminar, and naval maneuvers involving ships, submarines, and aircraft from participating countries. This exercise aligns with India's G20 presidency theme of Vasudhaiva Kutumbakam, emphasizing global unity. The United States Navy has deployed 2 unmanned surface vessels, USVs, Mariner and Ranger, on an extensive journey from California to Yokosuka, Japan. This marks the first ever long-distance deployment of driverless ships. The move is seen as a response to escalating tensions over Taiwan and China. The U.S. aims to enhance its military capabilities, reducing the need for human involvement in combat and minimizing casualties. Despite being the world's most potent military, the U.S. Navy has fewer warships than China. This development aims to address the evolving geopolitical situation in the region. And that's it on Tidbits for this week.
From A to B, from A to B, from north to south, from north to south, from east to west, from east to west, from port to port, from port to port. You can ship your goods and feel good too. Oh yeah, Nigerian Shippers Council, we meet you at the point of your need.
The
The Nigerian Shippers Council is now better poised with responsive systems in place to help you and other shippers get seamless, stress-free transition for your clients' goods from point A to B. Today at the Nigerian Shippers Council, timeliness, orderliness, transparency and efficiency is all we care about. Put your complaint through to our helpline. Visit us at number 4 Ayodele Shoyode Lane, Apapa, Lagos, or reach us on www.shipperscouncil.gov.ng.
Nigerian Shippers Council, we meet you at the point of your need.
Nigerian Shippers Council, we meet you at the port of your needs.
And as we drop anchor here, it's been a pleasure navigating this program with you. Have a swimmingly great week ahead.